Mayday! Mayday! This is Dyatlov group, transmitting on emergency frequency. Temperature dropping fast. We can see something approaching from the tree line. Igor says we have to leave. It's not wind. It's not an animal. The tent. We have to get out. They're here.
That transmission was never found. No radio equipment was recovered from the Dyatlov Pass site. The hikers had no working transmitter powerful enough to send a signal more than a few kilometers. But if they had, this is what it might have sounded like, because something made 9 people cut their way out of a tent and run into a blizzard. 9 hikers, 1 tent, cut from the inside. They ran barefoot into -30 degrees. Why? Some froze to death. Others had injuries no cold could cause. Broken skulls, crushed chests, missing eyes. One woman, her tongue was gone, removed with precision. That same night, another group 50 kilometers away saw orange spheres floating towards the mountain. 65 years later, the question still haunts us. What really killed them? Meet the 9. Young, experienced, excited for the adventure of their lives. Igor Dyatlov, 23, the leader, ambitious. When they found his body months later, he was face down in the snow, clutching a birch branch, as if he'd been crawling back toward the tent. Zinaida Kolmogorova, 22. Days before dying, she wrote to her mother, "Don't worry about me. Has the cow calved? I love her milk." Her body was found posed like she was trying to crawl back to camp. Lyudmila Dubinina, just 20 years old. Her father would spend the rest of his life demanding answers. She was the one found without eyes, without a tongue. Semyon Zolotaryov, 38, war veteran, mysterious, joined at the last minute. Some say he was KGB. His body was missing both eyes, too. Yuri, Rustem, Nikolai, Alexander, Yuri Krivonishkanov. 10 went in, 1 came out. Yuri Yudin, 21, bad knee. He shook hands with his friends on January 28th and watched them ski into the forest. He was the only one who came home alive, and he spent the rest of his life wondering why. January 28th, 1959. The 9 push forward into the northern Urals. Skis, sleds, heavy packs, experienced hikers doing what they loved. By January 31st, they reach the edge of the highlands. They cache food and equipment for the return trip. Morale is high. Their diaries are full of jokes and small complaints. Zinaida writes, "I burnt my mittens at the campfire. Yura cursed me a lot. Tonight we camp on the eastern slope of Kholat-Syakho, mountain of death. February 1st, late afternoon. Weather turns bad. Snow, 0 visibility. They lose their bearings and end up on the open slope. Instead of descending to the safety of the forest, Igor makes a decision. They pitch the tent here, on the slope. They dig into the snow. They eat dinner. They take last photos. None of them know those photos will be developed after their deaths. And none of them know what was coming toward them through the dark. February 12th, no telegram. At first, no one panics. Delays happen. But by February 20th, families demand action. Rescue teams go out. Students, teachers, later the army with helicopters. On February 26th, Mikhail Sharavin, a student, finds the tent. Inside, rucksacks neatly lined up, a pile of boots, warm clothes, food, money, a flask of alcohol, everything they needed to survive. But no people. And one detail that makes no sense. The tent is slashed open from the inside, cut with knives from within. Outside footprints, 8 or 9 sets leading downhill, some barefoot, some in socks, one in a single boot. After 50 meters, they stop, like they vanished into air. At the edge of the forest, under a tall cedar tree, they find 2 bodies, Yuri Krivonishkonov and Yuri Doroshenko, dressed only in underwear, frozen solid. Nearby, the remains of a small fire. The branches above them are broken 5 meters up, as if someone climbed to look for something, or to escape something. Over the next few weeks, 3 more. Igor Dyatlov, face down in snow. Zinaida Kolmogorova, posed like she was crawling back to camp. Rustem Slobodin, with a cracked skull. Then, in May, when the snow melts, they find the last 4 in a ravine. Lyudmila Dubinyina, Semyon Zolotaryov, Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, Alexander Kolevatov. And these bodies tell a completely different story. Here's where the case stops making sense. Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, fractured skull so severe, pieces of bone were found in his brain. The forensic examiner wrote the force was equivalent to a high-speed car crash. Lyudmila Dubinyina and Semyon Zolotaryov, crushed chests, multiple broken ribs, sternal fractures, internal bleeding. Same verdict, car crash force. But here's the detail that keeps investigators awake at night. There were no external wounds on their skin, no bruises, no cuts, nothing. Lyudmila Dubinyina was missing her eyes and her tongue. Removed post-mortem. The examiners noted with precision. Semyon Zolotaryov was missing his eyes too. Then radiation. Traces found on some of their clothes. Not much, but enough that the KGB sealed off the morgue. Investigators were told to strip naked and rub alcohol over their entire bodies before leaving. One researcher later noted such measures never normally took place in those days. The official report concluded in May 1959. Cause of death, a compelling natural force. The families were told, "You will never know the truth. Stop asking questions." So which is it? Science or something stranger? In 2021, Swiss scientists Johann Gaum and Alexander Putzrin published a study in a Nature journal. Their conclusion, a rare slab avalanche. The hikers cut into the slope to pitch their tent. This destabilized the snow. Hours later, a small slab, the size of an SUV, hit the tent. The force, combined with sleeping on rigid skis, could cause those internal injuries. The survivors fled in panic. Some died at the cedar tree, others in the ravine. It's plausible, even. But critics point out the slope is barely steep enough for an avalanche. No debris was found at the scene, and experienced hikers don't flee without boots unless something truly terrified them. That night, another group 50 kilometers away reported something strange, orange spheres, glowing, floating through the sky, drifting towards the mountain. Lev Ivanov, the lead investigator, wrote in 1990, based on the evidence gathered, the role of UFOs in this tragedy was quite obvious. He described burn marks on trees consistent with a heat source. He was ordered to censor it. Radiation on clothes, KGB at the morgue, secrecy. Some theorize a secret weapons test, a parachute mine detonating above, causing internal injuries without external wounds. Every theory explains some facts. None explain all. So what was the compelling natural force, and why did the KGB work so hard to bury it? In 2020, Russia reopened the case. Their conclusion? Avalanche, heroic struggle, case closed. But Lyudmila Dubinina's father never accepted that. Igor's sister Tatiana still asks, what kind of avalanche leaves the tent almost intact? Here's what we know. 9 young people went up that mountain. They were scared. They fled into the dark. Some died frozen. Some died violently. And something, weather or military, or something we can't explain, left evidence that still doesn't fit. The pass is now named for Igor Dyatlov. A memorial stands near the campsite, and every year people climb Dead Mountain to remember 9 adventurers who never came home. 65 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains unsolved. Not because we lack answers, but because every answer raises new questions. So I'll ask you, which theory do you believe? Avalanche, military, or something stranger? Comment below. I read them all. And if you want to explore another mystery that defies explanation, subscribe now.